I'm thrilled now to introduce our new mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot. The Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors enthusiastically endorsed Mayor Lightfoot because she demonstrated a commitment to work with business to provide a stable environment to grow the economy, attract new companies, and create job opportunities. We are committed to working with the mayor and her administration to bring economic development to every neighborhood while also strengthening our downtown central business district. I had the privilege of serving on Mayor Lightfoot's Business, Economic, and Neighborhood Development Transition Committee. There were a lot of great ideas and recommendations made on the committee, and I can personally say I saw the enthusiasm of the mayor and her team and what our business community can do to help our entire city. It is refreshing to see this level of engagement and collaboration and your commitment to listening to all viewpoints. Mayor Lightfoot, we look forward to partnering with you to continue to strengthen our neighborhoods and business community and grow our workforce. Please join me in welcoming our new mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot.
And thanks for the music cue. Thank you, Jack, for that introduction, and thank you all for coming. I also want to just acknowledge again Eileen Mitchell's speech. It's frankly my speech, and I think we're aligned, and I appreciate the leadership that she has brought in her relatively new role at AT&T, and I think the points that she made about the necessity of investing and looking at the reach that businesses have outside of the central business district into our neighborhoods, who our employees are, is exactly the right focus. And I hope you will join Eileen and Chicagoland Chamber and really taking the Believe Chicago initiative to the next level. So thank you so much, Eileen. I do want to thank the Chamber both for hosting this event and also for your support during my campaign earlier this year. I want to also take the opportunity to let you know some key people in my administration who are going to be driving economic development forward for us. Our Deputy Mayor for Neighborhood and Economic Development, Samir Mayakar, and our Chief Policy Director, Dan Lurie. Some of you have met them before, and some of you will be meeting them for the first time. But these two individuals, along with a team of others, really have a good sense of my vision for how we can continue to build on the economic development, but spread that wealth into our neighborhoods. During the course of my campaign, I had the privilege to meet residents and businesses and families and communities all over that make up our incredible city. These are people from every corner of Chicago and really every walk of life, young and old, rich and poor, and everything else in between. Yet, in all of these incredible moments that are really seared into my memory and I will take forward with me, there are one in particular that comes to mind. It was last December, on an absolutely bitter, cold day. I was down in the Roseland neighborhood on Chicago's far south side, visiting the home of Diane Ladaker, who leads Kids Off the Block and regularly opens up her home as a shelter and for recreation for young people and other local residents. Some of you may know Diane. On that particular day, Diane had put up a tent in the lot next to her home to feed people in her neighborhood who were in need. And they were there, in line, in that bitter cold day, very much in need. Most of the people that I saw were children and young women, all waiting to receive some food that had been donated to Diane and her group. When I looked at the faces of the people in the line that day, I saw a level of poverty and desperation in our city. Poverty that, frankly, we don't often want to see and we don't want to talk about. And if we're even more honest, a large portion of our city residents aren't even aware that this kind of poverty exists. That reality of poverty and the desperation that it breeds was brought home to me again over Memorial Day weekend as I toured the city in an effort to be visible and present in communities that are suffering from so much out-of-control violence. And all of us know the headline from that weekend: 5 dead and 38 wounded from gun violence. But I'll tell you what else I saw. Between the parades and the street festivals were swaths of our city deserted, street after street, block after block. Unless we bring meaningful investment to these neighborhoods, they will be lost, and our city with it. After this event, all of us are going to walk out of this building into our glimmering downtown, an urban marvel lined with architectural masterpiece one after another, filled with beautiful parks, world-class restaurants, shopping and cultural life known around the world. All of it sitting against beautiful Lake Michigan and shaped by the Chicago River. Anyone walking the streets of Chicago's downtown would understand why we are home to over 400 major corporate headquarters and ranked by IBM as being one of the top 10 competitive cities in the world. And these are great things, and things that we should celebrate and encourage. And as a former partner at Mayor Brown, a small boutique law firm here in our city, I know what a thriving business community means to Chicago. But folks, it isn't good enough. Greatness in part of our economy isn't good enough and never will be when at the same time, just a few miles away, those same streets remain empty, where lots remain vacant, and poverty, disaffection, and despair are the norm. Part of our economy is spiraling towards oblivion. Today, Chicago stands as one of the world's largest regional business centers, but it also has neighborhoods losing population by the moment. Today, Chicago is home to a new Riverwalk and the nation's busiest airport, but at the same time, our city is considered one of the most segregated, with profound levels of inequality. Without true, comprehensive, citywide investment, without viable access to community building blocks, without the ability to walk to your neighborhood store safely, we cannot hope to quell the epidemic of gun violence like we saw over this past weekend, or any of the other challenges that we want to tackle. In too many neighborhoods across the city, the basics, grocery stores, pharmacies, schools, transportation, a decent restaurant or coffee shop, the basics don't exist. Instead, we see trash-strewn vacant lots, boarded up, or substandard housing. This is a Chicago in which crime, poverty, and despair is rampant. Now, I could go on, and Eileen highlighted some of the statistics about double-digit unemployment and other things that show that in some neighborhoods, the promise and the greatness of Chicago is simply illusory. This disparity is unacceptable. And we all know that it didn't happen overnight. These circumstances are the result of deliberate policy choices made over decades. Just as government created these circumstances, under my administration, we will work to solve them. In May of 2018, when I first announced I was running for mayor, I said that in order for Chicago to remain a world-class city, we need to forge a new path of equity and inclusion as our guiding principles and North Stars. I believe that no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter who you love, and no matter what God you worship, we have to unite in our common cause to create a city in which everyone will have opportunity to participate in the greatness that Chicago has to offer. I was beginning to worry if I'd put you to sleep. My vision for Chicago is one with a dynamic economy for both our downtown and across our neighborhoods. What I am calling for is a growth strategy that includes all community and all people. And I am calling upon you, our business community, the men and women in this room, to join me in continuing our path of growth in the downtown while also extending that growth into neighborhoods like Austin, North Lawndale, Back of the Yards, and Roseland. Now, I understand there may be some skepticism in this room. It is in the interest of all of us, residents, business, and a mayor alike, to have a city that's running on all cylinders. It's good for business when business isn't concentrated in a few fortunate sections, but supported across neighborhoods and communities. Let's put aside for the moment the opportunities created when we expand the economy, or the economic earning power of an entire city, and simply look at the real and growing consequences of economic disinvestment. And some of you know these facts. You need only look at our declining population to see that the strategy of focusing exclusively on the downtown while ignoring neighborhoods is not working. It is not just a moral challenge. It is a challenge for us to get our fiscal house in order, to bring business and growth to all of our neighborhoods. We cannot do that if we don't look south of Roosevelt Road and west of Ashland. I alluded to this earlier. For the fourth consecutive year, Chicago has lost residents as families continue to move beyond our city borders for better opportunity. For 4 years in a row, our residents have disinvested from our city because they don't have confidence it is in their future. Simple as that. By losing residents, we're not only losing their economic potential, we are running the increasing risk of losing federal dollars from the upcoming 2020 census by as much as $1,800 per person or per year over 10 years. That it could be devastating to our city and our economy, because we will not only lose a congressional district, we will lose economic power for our city and for our state. Population loss has other effects too. UIC professor Janet Smith detailed in a report on neighborhoods, Chicago's income inequality doubled between 1970 and 2010 as a number of middle-class neighborhoods uprooted to the suburbs, exacerbating the confounding effects of race, ethnicity, and its relationship between income inequality and income segregation. But it's not enough to stop the population loss. We need to invest across our city's neighborhoods to turn the exodus around and to get up from 2.7 million to 3 million soon. That's got to be the focus of our growth strategy. We need that 10% growth to get back our lost customers, our lost earnings, and our lost investment. Chicago's destiny lies in breaking the system of investing here but not there, of providing opportunity to some but not others. Solving that problem won't be easy. Just as it wasn't created overnight, it won't be solved overnight. And the solution won't be done by business alone. I understand that. You know that, and I know that. Solving the problem demands aggressive investment from all levels of government across infrastructure, transportation, education, housing, public health, and of course, public safety. At the top of that list is a major capital infrastructure bill from Springfield that passed this weekend. And I must say I'm grateful for the support and focus and hard work of the governor, Senate President Cullerton, Speaker Madigan, Leader Durkin, and other members of the Springfield leadership. For the first time in over a decade, we can leverage tens of billions of dollars in state funding to refresh our infrastructure, the foundation of our shared growth. We also need collaboration and partnership with our institutions of higher learning, as well as our nonprofits, labor organizations, and community advocates. But even if all this happens, and it will happen, we still need our business community to deepen its stake in the future of our city in order to reach its highest growth potential. Monsignor Velo talked about doing mitzvahs. And many people in this room are engaged in that on a regular basis. It's not just AT&T, it's a lot of organizations that are represented here who are taking your dollars and investing in people and time and talent in our neighborhoods. And we have to keep that focus. And I promise you, as a city, we will help lead that effort, and we will help direct those corporate dollars so that we are having the maximum impact across our neighborhoods. I will also be seeking more direct solutions, including the infrastructure we take for granted, such as high-speed internet and the new 5G deployment strategy. In this day and age, when we have communication at our fingertips, we still have huge sections of our city, particularly on the south side, that are left without the basic tools that kids need to do their homework or entrepreneurials need to start a business. We don't have Wi-Fi connectivity in way too many neighborhoods across the south and the west side, and we have to solve that. Finally, I think it's important for us to pass the Fair Workweek legislation to ensure that hourly workers have stable schedules and to give them the certainty they need to pick up their kids from daycare, enroll in class, and book home care for aging relatives. This issue is personal to me. My mother spent her whole working life as a low-wage healthcare worker, both in mental institutions, hospitals, and at the end of her working life, she took care of sick and shut-in. If she didn't have a predictable schedule, that would have been chaos for our house. That would have meant we were, my siblings and I, left alone without the kind of guidance and care that was essential for us. Now, I know that this is a controversial issue, but I think that we can reach a middle ground, and I'm urging the business community to be at the table so that we can help solve this problem together in a way that makes sure that no one is left behind and that people have a fair schedule so that they can work and increase their earning power. These measures aren't just good for workers. They will ensure hundreds of thousands of Chicagoans have stability and money in their pockets to spend in their neighborhoods. We will also be embarking on other initiatives, such as creating a comprehensive tourism strategy, increased minimum wage, and, of course, putting our fiscal house in order. And as we saw last week, ending pay-to-play politics, the culture of graft and corruption, which has allowed the powerful to profit at the expense of our residents, while our businesses and other people have to pay, has been gone on for far too long. If I accomplish nothing more in my 4 years as mayor, and I hope we do far more than that, I will end the corruption in city government and put a marker down that we are changing our course, that you don't have to give to get, that you don't have to have a guy to get access to basic city services. It is corrosive, it is corrupting, and it destroys our ability to lead and have a government that stands for integrity, that people can believe in, and I am determined to put an end to it. We have other challenges that we have to meet. You know that we've talked a lot over the last few years, and a lot of ink has been spilled about our corrupt and broken property tax system. I support Assessor Fritz Kagi, and I support his efforts to make sure that he gets the information and the data that he needs to right the ship. It's important to Chicago that the assessor's office is able to reboot and change the way in which assessments have been done. Now, there's work to be done in the Springfield in the legislature, and I'm standing with Fritz Kagi to make sure that we get past the legislation that he needs so we have data to do fair assessments. Here again, this is an issue that we should all be at the table in support of, and I'm willing to do my part to make sure that we get there in the next legislative session. It's simply unfair for us to perpetuate a broken property tax assessment system that hurts low-income and working-class owners and renters at the expense of others. We have to fix that system, and I'm determined to do everything I can to make that happen. Good government, thank you. Good government is good for business, good for residents, and vital to the future of the city. In short, we have to come up with a new economic plan and pact for our city, a Marshall Plan to uplift our neighborhoods and continue the robust growth in the downtown area. It is for this reason that I am announcing the creation of the City of Chicago's Council of Economic Advisors. Over the coming weeks, I will be putting together a nonpartisan team of experts, demographers, labor economists, and municipal finance experts to help us find nonpartisan solutions to our economic challenges. one that isn't tied to election cycles, but instead looks out decades for sound, sustainable financial planning and growth, one that removes one-off investments in exchange for comprehensive, coordinated strategy. Our challenges are large, but so is our ability to solve them by working together. We are a world-class city with incredible talent at our fingertips, and I intend to tap into that talent to help us develop a Marshall Plan for our neighborhoods and an economic strategy that lifts us out of the problems that we see, not just with our pensions, but our strategic budget deficits year in, year out. We have to solve that problem and move forward in a completely different way. A city that can build a downtown like ours can also transform the lives like those that I saw on that cold December day. In the days and months ahead, my team and I will continue reaching out to you as partners and collaborators in that effort. We want to hear your ideas of how to turn our entire city around and put us on a different, more robust path that deals everybody in. This is our mission. This is our moment. We have this incredible gift that we've been given. The optimism across the city, I think, is at an all-time high. I want to make sure that we are worthy of the moment, that we are worthy of the trust that the voters have given us, and we are worthy of the optimism that people have about the future of this great city. And I'm going to look to partner with you to make that happen. Thank you very much.